You have probably heard the saying, a sale is made on every single phone call. In fact, if you've seen the classic Boiler Room movie, you've actually watched the scene. But I'm here to tell you that that quote is not only right, it's also wrong. It's incorrect. Not just one sale is made on every single sales call. Multiple sales are made on every single sales call. And today, I'm going to teach you how understanding the concept of sales to be made, or the meta sale, is going to tie into something I call the Uber Black sales strategy that is going to double or even triple your close rates if you apply it correctly. If you don't know me, my name is Drew Long. I've helped scale sales team up to 150 sellers, doing over $80 million in profit annually. And recently, my company Sales by Tomorrow has helped smaller companies grow from $0 in profit to over $1 million in profit in under 18 months. And today, what I'm going to show you, this concept of sales to be made, or the meta sale, is responsible for increasing close rates between 70% and 531% across sales teams. So let's dive into it. The meta sale is basically the concept of sales to be made. And the mistake here is thinking that you just need to sell your product or service, and that's it. That's all you need to sell. But prospects do come in different levels of understanding. Some need to be sold on the category of solution you're offering. Some need to be sold on the vehicle itself. Some need to be sold on you as the driver of that vehicle, and some need to be sold on all of the above. Think about it this way. If someone's never been convinced that YouTube ads work as a lead generation mechanism, then why would they care about your specific YouTube ads agency? They wouldn't. You're trying to sell them a Ferrari when they haven't even decided they need a car. The Uber Black approach, as I like to call it, flips this completely. Think of it like this. Customers first are going to decide that they need a ride, and then they choose to open the Uber app on their phone, and then they have to choose the service. So Uber X, Uber Black, Uber Elite, whatever. And then they're going to choose the specific driver. And they don't actually choose the specific driver currently on Uber, but the platform is assigning them a driver. You get the idea. The concept is still holds. The platform makes multiple sales in a sequence, and so should you. So in your case, think about whatever your ideal client is. First, they decide they have a problem or a destination, a goal they want to get to. They're either trying to drive away from some problem in their business or their personal life, and they're trying to drive towards a goal or a solution in their personal life or their business life. Then they're going to decide, okay, how do I get there? What are the different ways I could get there? What are the different mechanisms or vehicles that might get me to that solution or that might drive me away from this pain? And that's going to be a general category of solutions, whether it's AI automations, YouTube content, YouTube ads, Facebook or Meta ads, general content, organic content, going viral, cold email, whatever it is, right? And in a personal example, B2C, they might think, okay, well, how can I improve my personal performance as a CEO? Well, maybe it's losing weight, maybe it's losing fat, maybe it's gaining muscle, maybe it's testosterone therapy, whatever it is, right? Maybe it's, coaching on speaking, right? It could be in the health sphere. It could also be in the skills sphere. I'm going to improve my sales skills. I'm going to improve my speaking skills. I'm going to improve my presence. I'm going to improve my public speaking, whatever it is. These are all mechanisms or vehicles that are going to get your prospect from where they're at today to where they really truly want to go. And then once they've chosen a general vehicle to get them to their destination, what they're going to have to do is go out on the market and try to find a driver of that vehicle. They're going to select the right vehicle that they believe is going to get them there, and then they're going to obviously select who is going to be driving that vehicle to get me there. And that might be a coach, a guru, a person of repute, a business of repute, also might be an agency that reaches out to them, right? Or a company that is in their network, or someone they meet at a conference, right? These are all drivers of specific vehicles that they might want to use to get to the destination. So hopefully you get the concept. So when a prospect comes on a sales call with you, or even before, you need to do a discovery to understand which particular sales need to be made to close this customer and in what order. Maybe you also have a setter or an SDR, and then in that case, they should be helping you identify which sales need to be made. But you need to start from an understanding that there are multiple sales that do need to be made on every sales call before you start pitching. And if you don't do this, you're just going to get on calls and start pitching whatever you offer without understanding properly where the prospect is at in the decision-making process. And if you don't understand the sales to be made before you start pitching, you're most likely going to be pitching the wrong thing, or you're going to be pitching to the wrong level of interest. They might have an awareness of the problem only, but not even an awareness of the efficacy of the vehicle that you're pitching, and you're pitching your specific expertise with that vehicle, and they might not even be sold on the vehicle. So you need to make sure you're addressing the correct level of understanding before you go into a full pitch. So instead of starting with something like, oh, we're the best Google Ads agency because, you would start with, Why are you looking into Google Ads specifically? Do you know people who've had success with it? Have you tried it before? What's convinced you that Google Ads is even the way to go? Are you looking at other ways to get more leads? Are you looking at Facebook ads, Meta ads, YouTube ads? Are you looking at cold email? Are you looking at conferences? Are you looking at referral networks? Are you looking at partnerships? Are you looking at personal outreach, et cetera, et cetera? This does two critical things for you. First, it gets them selling you on why the solution category matters to them and why they are actually bought into it, if in fact they are bought into it. And then second, it reveals their level of conviction and helps you understand what social proof or conviction already exists in their mind. And this will allow you to tailor the rest of your pitch. Maybe you actually need to do a lot more selling on the category of solution and present more social proof and present more evidence the category of solution is truly the thing that's going to get them to their ultimate goal. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe not, but you're not going to know unless you do a thorough discovery. So here's the sequence that converts. First, you got to make sure that they're sold on needing lead generation or your thing at all. Then you need to sell them on Google Ads being the right vehicle for lead generation to reach their goal, far superior to any other vehicle, and close the doors on them trying other vehicles or pursuing other vehicles, giving them compelling reasons why those other vehicles are going to be too expensive, a waste of time, not as flexible, not as good. And then finally, that gets you to the place where you can sell them on you, your agency, your company, being the right driver of the vehicle that they've already chosen. By breaking the whole decision-making process and the sales process down into these mini sales and smaller sales to be made, we're effectively creating micro-transactions. And each one builds trust in you as a solutions provider and momentum towards the ultimate close. Ultimately, in your notes or in your head, what you want to be doing is marking down which sales need to be made and then checking them off and tying them down systematically as you go through the call or the sales process, no matter how many calls it takes. A lot of you are thinking right now like, oh, Drew, my calls are going to be 2 hours long. This is way too much work. I'm not going to be able to close them in 20 minutes. Like, of course you're not. You're selling B2B. You shouldn't be trying for one call close anyway. Or if you're selling consumers, take 90 minutes, take 2 hours, take multiple calls. It doesn't matter. What matters is collecting the money at the end of the day. Now, to structure the sales calls with these mini sales included, it's actually pretty subtle and nuanced. So I've included a downloadable form down below this video. It's chock full of both B2B and B2C examples because I've sold both successfully, and then an easy fill in the blank form for you to do this for your own offer. So be sure to grab that download down below. Now, here's where things are going to get really powerful. We're going to leverage what's already failed on their journey to help sell your thing. We're going to turn their past pain into positioning. When a prospect has mentioned that they've already tried other vehicles and failed, and they almost always have, most salespeople just nod and move on, or best case, they say something like, oh yeah, you're going to love us. We're nothing like that bad experience. That is leaving money on the table because that's telling, not selling. When they say something like, oh yeah, we tried Zoom Info, it didn't work for us, that's not an objection to overcome. That's a gold mine of the customer pains, their needs, and their goals. So you got to dig deeper on that with surgical precision. Oh, what were you hoping that Zoom Info was going to do for you specifically? Oh, why did you decide to try it in the first place? What got you guys to actually pony up the money for Zoom Info? What would have had to happen for you to consider it a success? What were your success factors? How much money did you end up spending with them? How much time did you end up spending learning their system? And do you consider that an investment well spent? What would you do differently now if you were to go back and do that investment again? This is going to allow you to do two main things. First, you're going to twist the knife. You're going to turn a paper cut into a stab wound on their failed attempts in the past. And that revisits the pain that they want to avoid in the future and makes it salient, makes it important for today. And then two, that allows you to counterposition your solution as the exact opposite of what failed before. You're going to show them exactly why your solution will eliminate the reasons they failed before and make failure virtually impossible under your new solution. So this is why your solution should simultaneously explain why their past solutions didn't work and why they previously failed, and also at the same time explain why they're going to be successful and why they can have an extremely high degree of certainty going forward. If Zoom Info was too complicated, you're really simple. If it gave bad data, you've got quality control. If it required too much training, you're turnkey. Whatever it is, right? And now you're not just selling solutions, guys. You're selling the anti-Zoom Info or the anti-whatever it is that they already purchased that didn't work for them. And that is going to be infinitely more compelling because it's tied to their actual pain, not some generic value proposition. Again, so important for you guys to memorize this, tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids. People do not care what you sell. They only care about themselves. They only care about their own results. and they only care about how a new solution wipes away everything that came before and actually delivers them to their Shangri-La or their paradise. And also how that's the absolute opposite of everything they're already convinced doesn't work. Part 3 is what I call the flip. So this is where you're going to make them sell to you. And this is the counterintuitive truth that I learned while growing sales teams to 150 people. The best way to qualify prospects is to make them pitch you, not you pitch them. Now, most sales reps are going to position themselves as supplicants. They're going to say, please let us help you. Oh, here's why we're great. Please consider us. We want to be in the running. We want to earn your business, right? But high-performing salespeople don't act that way. They understand they need to work with companies that are easy to market. For example, and then they're going to qualify the potential companies that they're going to work with and say, hey, are you going to be a winner? Are you a Michael Jordan that I can help jump 1 inch higher? So if you're providing marketing services, for example, or lead gen services, challenge their marketability as a client. If you are doing a B2C sale and they're going to have to invest time and effort in, for instance, following a diet plan or following an exercise plan to get the weight loss or the muscle gain goals that they want, you're going to challenge their work ethic. You're going to challenge, hey, is this really the right time? Why are you actually going to follow through if you failed before? What is it that's going to be different about your life that's going to enable you to attain your goals today versus all the times you failed in the past? Let's say you're providing marketing services and taking on a new 3PL company. Ask them, so why do people pick you over other 3PL companies? Pitch me your services. This is qualification disguised as discovery. You're assessing whether they have compelling case studies, clear differentiation, strong position, and the ability to articulate their value. If they can't pitch themselves well to you, if they can't sell themselves, your job is going to become impossible. Again, I would recommend into business in general, you don't position yourself to help teach beginners how to walk. You find Michael Jordans that you can help jump slightly higher. When someone can't clearly explain why clients choose them, that tells you everything about how your marketing campaigns will perform, usually very badly. Better off to find that in discovery than after you've taken their money and created promises and expectations that you cannot deliver on. Okay, finally, part 4, discovery that's going to create internal champions. Let's talk about the most overlooked part of the sales process, turning information gatherers into internal advocates that can help you sell in a B2B environment. You'll often get prospects that say, oh, I'm just gathering pricing for the CEO. Now, most reps, most salespeople at that point just send a proposal and hope for the best. But remember, this person has to go back and recommend you to decision makers over other vendors. Your job is to make them excited to champion your solution internally. To do this, you have to get into their daily job reality. Oh, how long have you been with the company? What do you like most about it there? If or when this lead generation system works the way that you want it to, what will that do for you? Will it free up time for you to do other things? I'm sure there are other things you'd rather be doing than spending all this time learning Zoom info on systems that don't work. So what would those be? Like, what other projects would you rather be spending your time on than trying to make Zoom info work? Again, you're selling not just business impact here, but what's in it for them, which is personal impact. They've got to be able to visualize their life getting way better because of your solution. And again, their life being revolutionized versus what they did before. So you are helping them become an internal sales rep, not just an information gopher. This is the difference between someone presenting you as, here's another cold email vendor, and I found someone who can actually solve our lead generation problem and get me out of this data management nightmare. Big difference. Look, the reality is a lot of the business owners I coach are in commodity markets and they're getting killed by commodity pricing and commodity sales techniques. You need to differentiate through process excellence. In saturated markets, your differentiator isn't what you sell, it's how you sell and how you deliver. So while your competitors are all saying, oh, here's what we do, here's the price, you need to be the only one who cares deeply enough to dig into their failed experiences and specific challenges. Your competitive advantage, my friend, is going to be discovery depth. And you should also watch the companion video to this video, which I just recently did, which is called How to Be a B2B Knife Fighter and Win in Competitive Vendor Battles. Go ahead and watch that video. It'll be linked somewhere in some corner of this video. Look, the reality is the person who spends the most time understanding their unique situation is going to be best positioned to win their business, regardless of pricing or features. You need to get deep into their day-to-day. You need to understand the nuances of what's so difficult with their day-to-day, and you need to understand the larger context in which the business exists. You need to understand the Q4 projects, the Q1 projects, and how all that's going to come together with your solution leading the way. When you understand the number and type of sales to be made to win the contract, when you understand exactly why their past efforts failed. And when you know exactly what the CEO wants and exactly how success gets measured internally, you're not going to have to compete on price anymore. You're going to compete on understanding and make yourself a category of one. Now, if you want to implement these exact techniques in your own company, or if you're looking for someone who can coach your team to the kind of conversion rates that we've talked about today, click down below to fill out an application to see if you'd be a good fit to work with Sales by Tomorrow, and you can learn how we may be able to help your firm. Because ultimately, the best sales strategy isn't about what you're selling, it's about how deeply you understand the person that you're selling to. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you guys in the very next video.